Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Coding with T. Today we are going to learn how to create bottom navigation bar in Flutter. We are officially going to start our section 3, which is the eCommerce design. So first of all, let's quickly have a look what we are going to create. Okay, so our application is running. This is the onboarding screen we have already created. When the user is going to click on this sign in, he will be redirected to our main application, which is the e-commerce application. So first thing we are going to create is the bottom navigation bar. Down below you can see we have options. Let's say I'm going to add some items in the cart and the wish list, and then we have a profile, then we have home, store. So we have 4 properties or the 4 menus in the bottom navigation bar. So this is what we are going to create in today's tutorial. The plus point of this is that this should be reusable. So when I'm going to click on this store, you can see the bottom navigation bar is not changing, but the rest of the screen is being changed. So this is what we are going to learn in today's tutorial. So without wasting time, let's get started. Okay, if you are following the series, we are creating Flutter e-commerce application and we are officially going to start our e-commerce design, which is a section 3. In the section 1, we learn how to configure everything. Once everything is configured and set up, themes, constants, and bunch of other things. If you're new, you can watch the previous videos or you can get the code from the description below. Link is provided. And in the section 2, we learn how to create onboarding, splash screen, login, sign up, forget password, reset password, and verify email screens. So in today's tutorial, let's get started with the bottom navigation bar. Let's open Android Studio and you can see we are inside the project of our e-commerce application. You can get this complete code from the link provided in the description below. Okay, for today's tutorial for the bottom navigation bar, we are going to create a navigation bar which can be used on multiple screens. So when we are going to click on any of the item on the navigation bar, it should not switch and reset its state. So for that, we are not going to create that class inside any of these folders. I'm considering it as a global class. So you can again go to features inside the shop. You can create that in the shop, but I'm going to create it inside this lib folder. So right click, create a new file, name it navigation menu dot. You can also name it home menu dot as well. Import material dot, create a stateless class stl, hit enter, name it navigation menu. Because we need to create navigation bar, so navigation bar property is inside the scaffold, so we need to use this scaffold property, and inside this scaffold we have the property which is bottom navigation bar. The widget we are going to use is navigation bar widget. Now when you hover over it, and you can see we have to provide required arguments, which is destinations. Destinations are basically the screens that we are going to use. Inside the destinations, as we are going to require 4 screens, when you hover over this destination, you can see it requires a list of widgets. So it can be any widget, it can be stateless, stateful, or simple widget. So let me create 4 containers. Inside containers, let's add color. Okay, we have navigation bar with 4 different colors. So first of all, to see what we are creating, we have to copy this navigation menu and we have to go to the features, authentication, screens, and inside the login, when user is going to click on this login button in the login form, down when user is going to click on this button, we want to redirect. Instead of going to the home screen or dashboard screen, this menu will decide that which screen should appear at first. So let me just call the navigation menu using get.to, and inside again we have to call our function and paste the navigation menu, import it over here, add a constant sign. Now let's run our application as well. Okay, so our application is running. Let's go to the login screen. When we are going to click on this sign in, okay, you can see we have 4 options, or you can see the 4 menus are created with the 4 different colors. So to change them into a menu, we have to wrap it with a navigation destination property, and it has icon and a label. As icon, we are using the home icon, and icons is basically the library we have already added a package in the pub spec. So let me also add a constant over here. Let's just copy this and paste it 4 times, and now we have home, store, wishlist, and profile of the navigation destination. Now let's save it, and you can see we have 4 options. Currently they are not being selected, so nothing to worried about. Okay, now to show the body right after this navigation bar inside the scaffold, when we are going to create a body, we have to provide a widget. As we know that body requires a simple widget, so to provide a widget, either that widget should be the home widget, store, wishlist or profile widget based on its selection. Let's say the home is selected, then we have to call the home screen over here. If store is selected, then we have to pass the store screen, and same goes for all the menus. Now currently we don't have any screens, so let me just create a container. And first of all, let's go to the navigation bar properties or the design. Then we are going to use the backend technique to apply this navigation. The first thing we are going to provide is a height of 80. If you're good with that height, leave it as it is. And I don't want elevation, so I will make it 0. And in here, let's say this is the selected index, so let me add selected index as 0 or maybe 1. Currently by default it's 0. Let's save the code, and this time you can see the store, which is the 1 index, is selected. Same, let me make it 2, and you can see the wish list is selected. When we're going to again make it 0, this 0 index is selected. So by this way we know that we have to change the selected index, and for that, when user is going to click on the tab, we have this function which will be triggered on destination selected. It is going to pass or give us an index. This index means that which index user is selected, either it's 0, 1, 2 and 3. Now we have to assign this index to selected index, right? So to do that, we have to create a stateful widget, because whenever this home screen, store or wish list is going to be selected right over here, we have to create a variable, and that variable should be updated based on this index whenever it is being called. So we have to call the set state. So to avoid using stateful classes, we are going to use the GetX state management. So that's why I'm going to create another class right over here, so we can easily manage this navigation menu, because it has no other use. So let me create a new class, name it navigation controller, and it is going to extend as GetX controller. Okay, now inside this class, let's create a final variable of type integer, which is going to retain the selected index, and by default its value is 0. But in here at the top, you can see we are using a stateless widget, not a stateful widget, and we are using the GetX controller. So to convert things to the GetX domain, we have to convert this 0 to make it .obs, and let's just change this integer and wrap it with the rxint type. Now this variable, which is again an integer variable, but it is wrapped with the getX type of rx value, right? So now this obs variable is the observer variable, which will be observed by the widget. Previously you can see when we call the set state method, set state basically redraw everything whenever the set state is being called. Let's say when on destination selected at over here is going to be pressed, or when we talk about this menu and I'm going to press this store icon, that on destination selected method will be triggered, and it is going to call the set state, and everything will be redrawn on the screen, and we will see that store is now selected. So to avoid redrawing and slowing the speed of our application, we use the getX power. Whenever this state is going to be changed, this 0 index is going to be changed, it is going to only redraw whatever is inside this obx. So first of all, let's create another thing, which is the screens. So I'll walk you through with the screens as well, don't worry about it. These are the list of widgets that we have to select each time when the specific index is selected. I currently don't have screens already created, so I have created simple containers with the green, purple, orange and blue. So we have 4 containers, or you can rather say we have 4 screens, which are the stateless screens, because these are also the widgets. So everything is a widget in the Flutter, so that's why I've created 4 widgets currently being treated as a screen. Okay, first thing at the top as a selected index, now we are going to change it, and we're going to call this navigation controller at the top. To create the instance of the navigation controller, instead of using the new keyword, we use get.put keyword, and the new instance of this navigation controller will be created. So now we can easily use whatever inside this navigation controller using this controller property. So the first of all, we have to assign this selected index. So we will use controller dot selected index dot value. So why this value? Means selected index is a rx type of integer, right? Now to get exactly integer value, we have to use this value property. Now it's exactly pointing to this 0 instead of this obs. Okay, the next thing we want to do is whenever there is a change inside this on destination selected, we want to assign this current index to this selected index. So to do that, again I have to call this controller dot selected index dot value is equal to the index or whatever index being selected will be passed over here, and this index will be assigned to our selected index. Okay, so far we are here that selected index will be automatically assigned whenever user is going to click on any of the index. It will be passed to this selected index, and selected index is assigned to this index. This means that we are completed with the logic, but how we are going to redraw our screen? So to redraw the screen, we have to wrap this navigation bar with another widget, which is obx, and as a child we are going to create a function which is pointing to this widget, whatever widget which is wrapping this function. So we are going to create a widget which is obx, and instead of passing it as a colon, we are going to create a function, and next to this function we are going to call this navigation bar, right? Now whenever there is a change inside this obs variable, it is automatically going to detect that where is this obs. There must be an obs inside this obx, otherwise it's going to throw an error. So whenever there is an observer being observed by this observer, this is the observer and this is what is being observed. So whenever there is change inside this selected index, change is coming from here. Whenever there is change, it will automatically redraw the state for us. Now let me just save it. Let's click the store and you can see the store is selected. Let's select the wish list profile. Whenever I am going to change this, it's automatically being selected, right? Now we want to also change the body based on that selection. So body is over here. Currently it was only container, and you can see we have screens at the bottom. Now we want to convert it like this. We have to call our controller dot screens. Which screen we want to show? We want to show the selected index screen. Again call the controller dot selected index is 0, then show the first screen. Selected index is 1, then show the second screen, and that's it. Now we're going to save it, and by default you can see when the profile is selected, profile is the last one and its index is 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, and at the third index we have blue. So blue is by default selected. Now let's save it again, and this time you can see it turned to the orange only when I'm going to refresh it from here, otherwise it's not going to change. So again the obx is currently applied at the menu, so we also have to apply this obx on the body. So let's press alt enter, wrap it with a widget, and again it will be obx. As a child we are going to call a function, a single line function. Now again let's save the code. This time when we are going to change the screen, you can see the menu is also being changed. Now later on when we are going to create our screens, so we will start replacing these screens. Let's say at the start we are going to create the home screen, so we'll replace the home screen over here, then store will be at the second, then we have the wish list, and then at the end we have a setting screens or the profile. Okay, here I have created a folder which is the home folder, and inside I have created an empty home.dart. So in here we can easily now replace this first one with the home screen, and now let's save it. So when the home screen will be pressed, currently it's showing the green because we have to restart. Let's click on this sign in, and currently you can see we have a simple empty white screen, and rest we have 3 containers. But whenever the home is going to be selected, it's showing the home screen. So by this way we can easily customize this. I first have to add the dark mode, because whenever we are going to talk about the colors or the custom colors, we have to make sure that light and dark modes are both being targeted. So in the helper functions we have a function which is a dark mode, simply calling theme.of_context with a brightness, and if the brightness is dark we have a dark mode true. Using that we can easily add both colors. And in here you can see I have added a background color and an indicator color. So background color, if the dark mode is selected or if the currently screen is on the dark mode, the background will be black, otherwise background is going to be white. And same for the indicator color, if dark mode is on, it will be white with opacity 0.1 and otherwise it's a black with opacity 0.1. Now let's save it, and you can see we are able to change these colors as well. Let me switch it to the dark mode, and you can see the bottom navigation is working perfectly fine. So that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you learned something new. If you have anything in your mind, if you have any question, if you're confused with any of the topic or any of the point, you can ask me down below in the comments. You can again download the code from the link description below, and you can also go to the codingwithy.com and directly download the code from there. Once again, thank you for watching. Take care. Allah Hafiz.